Good morning. It is July the 30th, and I am doing a cleft graft with this big tree. And I just wanted to show, we always hear about cambium alignment. I don't know if you can see this, but this is how I've worked this to get the cambium layers, which are just below the bark, pretty much aligned, pretty good. And as I shove this down in there, in the cleft or in the wedge, in the cut, when I do that, I look to get an even better alignment of the cambium layers, which will help to improve the odds of the success of this graft. The Scion will hopefully heal. Sometimes I have to fit them in one way or another because it can make a difference. Just sort of joining them together on different sides. That side I don't like as much. I think I'm going to clip this a little bit lower, make it a little bit wider. This Scion is just a little bit, just a little bit too wide. So I'm going to clip that, and we're going to try again. You've got to be patient, I've learned, with grafting figs or persimmons, pawpaw. I've grafted a bunch of things, and what I've learned is how you like my menagerie of grafting here. Look at that. You talk about a Frankenstein tree. And then I've got more over here. But it's all within the realm of law of probability with me. I'm not the best grafter, and I've had failures. I continue to have failures, and I have successes. All in all, I'm very pleased and always excited. It's almost like, I don't know, it's like Christmas to me. To come out here and to open up a graft after a few weeks, take away the tin foil, and to see if I've succeeded or not. Sometimes in just a few weeks you won't be able to tell. You have to be patient. Sometimes it takes a month, 2 months for the Scion to take hold and for a bud to begin to grow. You just have to be patient. And other times I've got, like, here's a little success here. Look at that. This one, I'm protecting the rubber bands. But that one, and there's another one up there that I'll show you, which is even nicer than that. It's just coming out perfectly. And that's only 3 weeks. That's a 3-week graft. I'm using the tinfoil now to cover the rubber band because I found that I like using rubber bands, by the way. I really, really do. It's not totally necessary, but I like it. And the rubber bands will lose their elasticity in short order, especially if they're exposed to the UV rays of the sun. So I keep them covered with the tinfoil even after I've released them. When I see that there's activity and that the Scion is catching on and healing, I will quickly remove the tinfoil because I want the emerging shoot, if you can see that, I want it to be exposed to the sun as soon as possible so that it develops protection against sunburn. That's important. So I'm always eager like I said, it's sort of like Christmas. I'm always eager to open them up to see, which ones are moving along, And, of course, some of them fail. I had a failure. Where did I have a failure? Right here. I had no, this one I didn't touch. Where was it? I think it was this one. I had a failure. What happened was, and here's another lesson, I got a little lazy and I didn't sterilize my tool. I thought, oh, well, I'll get away with it. I remember, too. I'm not going to worry about that. Well, I don't know if it was that, but the Scion became infected. It started to die off, and it died right on the other side, too, on the receiving host wood. It died right on down. It got a disease, and I quickly clipped it off where it was still healthy. And then I replaced the graft in time. I kept an eye on it for a few days to make sure it was healthy. Then I clipped another little area off to make sure it was a healthy receiving host. That's what I call it. But that was a lesson. Do sterilize your tools, and it's definitely a situation where the learning curve, listen, you learn as you go. I have learned from persimmons and from pawpaw and from figs that the most important thing is the cambium alignment. And let me put this in water. By the way, I keep a little bit of water, you see, and I keep it well hydrated while I'm in the process. I even have a little wet paper towel here, and I'll put that on the top. A little bit of fanaticism, hey, like I said, you need every edge you can get. You need everything that you can possibly arrange to put into your favor to increase the odds of your success, because you're going to have failures. Now, there's a lot of talk about, well, you shouldn't be grafting in the middle of the summer. Well, you can graft in the middle of the summer. I do it all the time. I do it with persimmons, I do it with pawpaw, and I'm doing it with figs. I've done it with figs, and I'm succeeding here. I've just opened a few, and I have beautiful successes here, 2 beautiful successes. And I've only opened, I think, 4. And these, they're not failures. They just haven't done anything yet. They're beautiful. They were very well done grafts. So I don't see any fresh shoots in this or in that one up at the top. But out of the 4, I do have 2. That's good. And they are really taking, and they are very, very healthy. I will show you them in a minute. One of them, though, I had to redo, and it was dead. So I don't know. I haven't. Now, these were done. Some of these were done 3 weeks ago. Some of them were done 2 weeks ago, and some of them were done very recently. The ones that are done recently, I put the date on them. This was done the 27th, if you can see that. This was done the 28th, if you can see that. I'm putting tags on them, and I've got some of them. I have yellow string, and that tells me that was the 2nd week. These are only 2 weeks old. They're not old enough to look at yet. All the ones with the string here, like that, and over here, and over here. I'm trying to keep these ones that don't have any marks on them, or have little black twisties on them. They're the first ones, and some of them are just going to simply take time. These are new. I just started doing these. This is a different variety, and these I did yesterday. If you can see that, these are new. I do them every day. This one doesn't have a date, but I did this one yesterday too. I have to put a date on that. But I know when I did these, because this is a different variety. I'm attaching Peter's honey to this. Not Peter's honey. I'm sorry. Italian honey. I'm attaching to this. And this is all going to be Italian honey. I began these yesterday. So I've got this one to do and this one to do today. And I am doing one more, which I'm having a little trouble matching up because it's rather big. Uh-oh. Get that tinfoil back up there. This one was rather big, and I cut that off yesterday. And I'm trying to get the Scion to fit perfectly where there's an alignment. And I will. I'm going to cut another piece of that. I think I'll put this on hold, show you how I work the knife to cut the cleft or the wedge. But some of the fundamental principles are hygiene, keep everything hydrated, well hydrated, take your time. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. I'm a stickler about things. There is no such thing as perfection in this universe. Nothing that I have been able to conceive of. But we strive for it. Regardless, if we aim high, well, we won't hit as low. If we aim for a high target, we'll hit a high target. It might not be the one that we're aiming for. That reminds me, I don't want this video to get too long, but it reminds me, just all of a sudden, it came to me about Werner von Braun. I read a book about him once. He was a Nazi scientist responsible for the V-2 rockets in Germany, which wreaked havoc on London and other places. Well, after the war, we recruited him, even though he was a Nazi war criminal. We recruited him, the United States did, and eventually became the head and director of NASA. And he was, I would almost say, singularly responsible, along with his team, of course, for putting man on the moon, the first man on the moon. He was responsible for coordinating all the moon missions. And I remember a quote from his book. I remember a lot of things. But one of the quotes hit me really, really profoundly. And when he was asked about his ambitions and about his goals, his idea of his enthusiasm about science and his ambition towards science, he made a statement. He said, "I aim for the stars." And I found that quite remarkable, because of course he never made it to the stars. He only made it to the moon. But if you aim high, you're going to hit high. Just remember that. So aim for perfection. Take your time. Take pride in your work. It's easy to graft. I've said this before, but it's so difficult to graft well. It's easy to graft. It's difficult to graft well. Of course, now we're looking at Alpha Centauri and Proxima Centauri, the closest star to our sun, and it's about 4.25 light years away, and about roughly 30 trillion miles from here. And we've located a planet, this is confirmed, which has a great deal of water. It's very much like Earth. It's in the Goldilocks zone, and it's emitting gases with spectrometry. We can detect what is on the planet, and it seems to be, it has much of what should be there if there is life, things that are only, or generally only, created by there being life on the planet. So it's very interesting, and eventually I'm sure our scientists will send probes. who knows what will happen in the future when we learn to bend time and space, which of course eventually we will do that. So I've worked real hard on these grafts. There's quite a few of them. And I expect a lot of them to succeed, and some of them will fail. But I've done my very best. I've taken my time, and I've done all the things that I've just advised you to do. Now, keep in mind, too, that I do not recommend grafting figs in ground in Zone 7A, where there's frequent dieback. That's a complete, total waste of time and work. But here in Zone 7B, I'm going to give it a shot because I don't experience much dieback, only occasionally. It's rather rare, actually, here. And so I think that the work is worth it. I think that I can confidently proceed and not have the feeling that, hey, all of this is going to be for nothing. So keep that in mind. Now, of course, when you get to container figs, grafting can be fun and productive and useful. And of course, if you live in other zones, it's a wonderful thing to do for a number of reasons, many reasons. Now, what I like to do too, I just want to say, I like to always leave 2 or several nodes because it increases your success ratio, the likelihood that you succeed. Now, if you have a very expensive Scion, say something that you've purchased like a Black Madeira, and you're taking a Scion off of it, and it's precious and expensive, I can understand where you might want to just have 1 node. But it's a good practice to have 2, sometimes 3, because it increases your odds tremendously. And I want to direct you to the cambium layer too. You see right below the bark, you see that light green layer there? Isn't that beautiful? That's what you have to align with your graft host wood. So another, I think, tip that I want to give when doing the grafts is always take your grafting tape and wrap it around your Scion before you try to put them together. And the reason why you want to do that is because you don't want to have it wobbling around when you're twisting the tape on after you've matched up the cambiums. After you've matched the cambium layers, you want them to stay in place. So I generally put a rubber band. I wrap a rubber band around the host wood, and that makes it nice and tight, makes the seal tight. But I already have this wrapped. The Scion's already wrapped. So I'm going to clip this down a little further to where it's a little wider, just a little bit, and this would have been a good fit. This was a good fit, but I want it to be better, just a little better if I can make it. Remember what I said before, I always told my son when he was growing up. I don't want to bore you out there, figsters, but good, better, best. I always told them that. Always striving for the best. Trying to make it work. Good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better best. Okay, gang, I chopped another piece of that off, and I'm in the process of wedging my knife down in it. I usually have two hands on the blade, one on one side, one on the other, and I rock it back and forth gently to get down deep enough to receive the Scion. Okay. And I'm going to see if this one fits a little better. I can't do everything I want to do because one of my hands has to be occupied with this camera. I do have a tripod. I don't know why I never use it. But let me put you on pause. I'm going to go down a little bit further, and then I'm going to separate. I'm going to spread this out a little bit so that it will receive the Scion. And then we'll see what kind of a match we have. Okay, gang, I'm going to go for this one. I don't know if you can see with all these strings in the way. Let me see if I can get in closer. But that is a perfect, what I call a perfect match. Can you see that? I don't know if you can or not. But I'm very happy with that. I'm going to move that around a little bit. What happened here? I'm losing my focus. Okay. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to wedge that down. Everything's matching beautifully. Push it down. And when I get off the video here, oh, look at that. It looks good. I like that. Oh, yeah, they're matching pretty good. I'll push this over a little bit, make it fit even better. I'll manipulate it a little bit back and forth, and then I'll put the rubber band on it. Then I'll put my grafting tape. Now, see, I didn't do what I was supposed to do because I would have this wrapped already with the tape so that it's stable. But this is thick. It's not going to move too much once I get that rubber band on there. So I'm finished. Now the rest is up to nature. So yes, you can graft in the summertime. And you can graft with green wood. It doesn't have to be fully lignified. This one is, this one's not. And it doesn't matter. It will take, I hope. So I think for today, this video's long enough. But I wanted to be patient today. I wanted to take my time. For those who are just being introduced to grafting, so that I didn't leave too much out. No, I think there's another thing I want to talk about too. You see this? Now, I just did this graft the other day. I could tell by, well, first of all, it has a tag, and it tells me the date. Okay, come on up here. See? Okay, on the back, 7/24. That one was done 7/24. Ronde Bordeaux. But you see what's happening? This is important. This is something that I'm a stickler with. So you see, those of you that hung in there, even though it's a long video, you might get another pointer here. You see these little buds in the host wood? They're beginning to sprout. You see that? Knock them off. Every one of them. Break them off. See that? Chop them off. Get rid of them. Every single one of them. Because they're going to suck energy away from the Scion. And if you notice, I've gotten rid of all of the vegetation. I've plucked it off. Anything above, see, this would be gone. This would be gone here. I left this on as a reminder that this is a good receiving branch for a Scion. And I'm going to do that today. So I popped that off. And I popped off so many of them. Look, they're basically bare. I have trees bare. And the reason why is because I want all of the energy to be absorbed by the Scions. Only. Because nature is nature. and it will take the path of least resistance. If you leave one branch on the top or several, what will happen is all the energy will just flow naturally into that branch, and it will grow like crazy, or branches. If you remove them, then the energy will be redirected towards the Scion. Now, that's how I do it. For what it's worth, neck on the chopping block, I don't mind. But that's the way I do it. And I succeed by doing it, I think, with higher frequency, higher percentage. And so I don't know if any of you out there do it that way. Write in your comments. I'd love to hear from you. But that's how I do it. Remove as much of the growth as you can. Then you just take it away. Because the rootstock, you don't want the rootstock to grow. You want the scions to take. You want them to mend and heal and begin to sprout. Now here I have one more to do over on this side, and I don't know if I'm going to do it. This has gotten to be pretty big, and I'm out of material. And it's right now it's acting as an umbrella. It's my umbrella branch trunk, and it's shading the others and shading all of my grafts. So I might just leave it there until I get more material. But I'm going to have to do, I just thought of something else. I'm going to have to do the kind of cleft graft that I don't like. And I'm glad that I'm able to talk about this. This is big, and I'm probably going to have Scion that are too small, so I'm going to have to split this and then put a Scion on one side. It's not going to spread all the way across. And I don't like doing that. I don't like it. I like this when I can get it on both sides. I try to get a match on both sides. That's what I like. And I just feel that it's much, much, much better. And I see on the internet, I see that many people do the type I just mentioned to you, and it will work. But my personal feeling is that by the time that cambion moves all the way around and has to do acrobatics, it might take a long time for it to heal all the way around and twist its way around. And it's just never going to be, in my opinion, for what it's worth, in my opinion, it's never going to perform as well as if you get a better match on both sides, or as much of the cambion layers to match together as you possibly can. You're going to get a much better fruiting branch. That's my experience. That's my opinion. Others may disagree. So I'm glad that I thought about bringing that point up in this video, because I've covered most of what I wanted to cover. There's always more. It's a profound subject. I could go on and on and on. Books have been written on this subject, I'm sure. And rightfully so. So with that, thank you very much for joining me. It's early in the morning. I haven't had my coffee yet. But I thought I'd come out and do some grafts, because it's just been so darn hot during the day. I can only work in the morning and afternoon. It's really bad. And I work sporadically during the day for 10-minute segments, 10 or 15 minutes, then I go back in and drink some water and cool off. I've been doing a lot of projects around here, a lot of things, not just working on the figs. But I always take time to try and improve my orchard. Good day. Look at that beautiful Ron de Bordeaux graft. This is spectacular. I love it. Look how. And here's the Smith. It's doing very well. I'm protecting the rubber bands because they will stiffen. And that's a nice thing. Using the rubber bands, you get a good tight match in the beginning, but then they start to loosen up and they start to dry out, and you're not going to girdle the Scion. Okay. Till next time.